Hey, it's Mark Andrews, and we're going to cover the 2020 CFOA classification exam. There are some modifications to the original exam that OCFOA has made. Also, these out of the 50 questions on this exam, 49 of them were on the study guide as well. So I have just simply taken the study guide clips and put them in a different order in order to not have to remake the classification exam. So you will see a question number in bold print at the bottom of the screen. And that is the classification number question, or question number. All right, let's get going. One of the pitfalls of reusing these questions is that I refer to a previous question because the test maker tended to use the same situations over and over again and just change them slightly. Well, that's not the case in this classification exam, but you'll hear me say, well, we just talked about this. We didn't just talk about it. And there are other times when I'll go into great detail about things that we've already covered, because in the study guide, it was a early question, and now it's a late question. If that makes sense. So bear with me. I'm doing my best. All right, let's get going. Okay, question 37. Now pay attention, guys. This is a question that deals with post-scrimmage kick fouls. Something we do not get a lot of, but if we do get them, we can screw it up big time. So K 4th and 6 at the R40. K82 makes a legal scrimmage kick, which is caught by R19 at the R6 and run back to the R36. During the kick, R75 held K42 at the R20. Now, you notice it specifies during the kick. Okay, so our rule 216-2H says this is different types of fouls. 216 deals with different types of fouls, and this is a post-scrimmage kick definition of a post-scrimmage kick foul. So it's a foul by R, and only by R, okay? Other than illegal substitution or illegal participation that occurs at the snap, we won't talk about that. When the foul occurs during a scrimmage kick play other than a try or successful field goal, during a scrimmage kick play in which the ball crosses the expanded neutral zone, when the foul occurs beyond the expanded neutral zone, before the end of the kick, and K will not be the next to put the ball in play. So the other rules references 10.4.3. Now these are enforcement rules, and it says the basic spot is a spot where that kick ends. And what does the kick end mean? A kick ends when a player gains possession or when the ball becomes dead while not in possession. So basically where the receiver caught it or where it went out of bounds or became dead. Okay? So we've got a foul by R that meet all of the criteria for a post-scrimmage kick foul. The end of the kick is the R6. Oops. R6. So K accepts the penalty. We're going to go half the distance to the goal line. It will be 1st and 10, R at the R3. Okay, here's another one. A little wrinkle on this one. The ball is spotted on the right hash mark. So they're establishing the free blocking zone 4 yards either side of the right hash mark. Quarterback A7 takes the snap and turns and pitches the ball backward to running back A14. So it's a backward pass. A14 attempts to sweep around the left end when he is trapped in the backfield in the lateral middle of the field and about to be tackled. A14 throws a forward pass into an area in which there is no eligible receiver. The pass lands inbounds 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. So this rule does not simply apply to the quarterback. It never mentions quarterback. It says passer. So the first pass by the quarterback was a backward pass. So we still can have one legal forward pass, right? And that is committed by the running back So this play is legal. Answer is A, legal. All right, question number 1. A, 2nd and 10 at the B37. A12's legal forward pass is intercepted by B45 at the B3, and his momentum takes him into the end zone where he takes a knee. And we have 852A exception as a rule reference. Is this a safety? Is it a touchback? Or momentum applies? B will likely choose B, 1st and 10 at the B3. So 852A deals with it is a safety when a runner carries the ball from the field of play to and across his own goal line and it becomes dead there in his team's possession. So that's what happened here. Okay. Exception. When a defensive player intercepts an opponent's forward pass, intercepts or recovers an opponent's fumble or backward pass, or an R player catches or recovers a scrimmage kick or free kick between his 5-yard line and the goal line, and his original momentum carries him into the end zone, where the ball remains in the end zone and is declared dead in the end zone, in his team's possession, or it goes out of bounds in the end zone, the ball belongs to the team in possession at the spot where the pass or fumble was intercepted or recovered, or the kick was caught or recovered. Whew. Okay, basically, guys, what this is saying is an intercepted pass, a backward pass, or fumble inside B's 5-yard line, and the recovery of that interception, backward pass, etc., takes him into the end zone where the ball becomes dead. Either he gets tackled, he takes a knee, goes out of bounds, whatever. It is not a safety. The ball goes back to where he received the ball, which in this case is the 3. And the same is true for a kick. If the ball is kicked, the receiving team catches the ball in between the 5 and the goal line, and the momentum of the catch carries the player into the end zone, then the ball will be placed where he caught it. Now, if he runs into the end zone on his own volition, all bets are off, okay? But in this case, it was the momentum that carried him in, so our answer is C. Okay, same situation as far as the quarterback and 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's evading a tackler. Now, he started on the right hash mark. He evades the tackler and runs toward the left sideline. Still scrambling, at the left hash mark, he runs back to the right hash mark, where he throws a forward pass into an area in which there is no eligible receiver. The pass lands inbounds 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. So, he's back in that expanded neutral zone area when he throws the ball, right? But the rule says the player is or has been beyond the lateral boundaries of the free blocking zone as established at the snap when the pass is released. So the fact that he went out of the expanded neutral zone and then came back in, it still makes this pass legal. Answer is A. All right, question number 2. A 3rd and 17 at the A10. To avoid an official, B57 goes out of bounds at the A15. B57 returns inbounds at the A20 and tackles the runner at the A23. So is that a legal play? Is it a legal participation? And if so, where is the enforcement spot? So, illegal participation is an interesting foul. Here it is right here, 9.6, and there's nowhere else in the rule book that I can think of that that the rule starts off with comments. And it basically gives you all the different situations where we could have illegal participation by entering the field during the play. Okay, but there's another type of illegal participation. It says no player shall intentionally go out of bounds during the down and return to the field, intentionally touch the ball, influence the play, or otherwise participate. So B57 went on his own volition, even though he's trying to avoid an official. That's not a good enough reason. He should have stayed out of bounds. But so he's definitely guilty of illegal participation. So now the question is, what's the enforcement spot? And we refer to the enforcement spots as basic spots. And there are 7 different basic spots. I had this marked and I screwed up. Hang on, stay with me. Types of plays. Okay. A loose ball play. Okay, that I'm sorry. I'm going to cut this out. Okay, the basic spots. If foul occurs during a down, the basic spot is determined by the action that occurs during the down. This is the basic spot for penalty enforcement. The basic spot is the previous spot for loose ball plays, and it includes all of these situations. Basically, a loose ball play is a kick or a pass. That's really all you have to think of it. There is an exception. This is fairly new. The basic spot may, at the option of the offended team, be the succeeding spot for fouls by K, so it's during a kick. All right, so that's not the situation here. But so this is not a loose ball play. So let's go on to the next one. Basic spot is a spot where the kick ends. Well, we don't have a kick, so let's go on to the next one. The basic spot is a spot where the related run ends for a foul which occurs during a running play. And a running play is any action not included in the first article. So a running play is when you're running. And you can have a loose ball portion of the play when the ball's in the air or rolling on the ground in a fumble, and then a run. So if a receiver catches the ball, that ends the loose ball play, and then during the subsequent run, there's a foul. Then we enforce it as a running play. The other ones are succeeding spots, which are for unsportsmanlike fouls. We also have 20-yard line for fouls by either team when the opponent It's basically any it's fouls that occur when the ball is forced across the goal line. Okay, so it's going to be on the 20, and then the basic spot is the goal line for fouls which are committed during running plays by the opponent of the team in possession at the time of the foul, when the team in possession is responsible for forcing the ball across its own goal line, and the related run ends in the end zone. So don't worry about that one. All right, so back to our question. This is a running play. So we are going to enforce from the end of the run. So that would be the A23. Even though it was tackled by an illegal participation player, the enforcement spot is the A23. We will half the distance to the goal line, and it'll be 1st and 10 at the A11 and a half. All right, so the answer is D. Okay, question number 70. Quarterback A7 takes the snap and fades straight back to attempt a pass. 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, A7 evades a tackler and runs toward the left sideline. When he is outside the lateral boundaries of the free blocking zone, he throws a forward pass into an area in which there is no eligible receiver. The pass lands inbounds 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. So I'm not even going to mess around with this. This used to be intentional grounding, new rule, and basically it says that this is legal. I don't want to read this whole thing for it to you, and I would really rather it be in the rule book. But basically, as long as the quarterback is outside of the tackle box, they call it, or let's just call it the free blocking zone, and he throws the ball away, it's not an intentional grounding. And it has to go beyond the line of scrimmage, I believe. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so if you see B here, it says the forward pass reaches the neutral zone or beyond. So, yeah, it has to go beyond the neutral zone for this not to be intentional grounding. All right, so now this is legal. All right. Okay, question number 3. Offensive lineman A66 contacts defensive player B53 at the line of scrimmage, and with continuous contact, A66 drives B53 back 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage at the left hash, and then releases B53 but continues downfield another 3 yards without contacting another A player. At that point, quarterback A11 throws a legal forward pass to eligible receiver A32 beyond the line of scrimmage near the right sideline. Is that a legal play? Is it offensive pass interference? Is it an ineligible player downfield? Or is it both offensive pass interference and ineligible player downfield? So our rule references are 7512, and 7512 says ineligible A players may not advance beyond the expanded neutral zone. The expanded neutral zone is the area 2 yards behind on the defensive side of the ball, 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Okay, in the field of play, of course. So, legally, the offensive lineman can drive the defensive lineman back 2 yards without being ineligibly downfield. In this case, he's done that, but then he's continued down another 3 yards, and when the pass is thrown, it has crossed the neutral zone, and it's in flight, and no B player has touched it. So he is in violation of 7512, which is an ineligible player downfield. Now, had this same lineman continued to make contact downfield and it was close to where the ball was thrown, then we could have offensive pass interference. Technically, it doesn't matter where the contact is on the field, but philosophically, if an offensive lineman is contacting a player on the left side of the field, say 5-10 yards downfield, and the ball's thrown to the right side, we don't want offensive pass interference called. We want ineligible player downfield call. But technically, it's still OPI, but we don't want to throw that flag. We want to throw the ineligible player downfield. So the answer to question number 3 is C. Okay, question 71. It's the exact same situation, but for one thing, quarterback A7 takes a snap and fades straight back to attempt a pass 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage while still inside the lateral boundaries of the free blocking zone. He throws a forward pass into an area where there's no eligible receiver. The pass lands inbounds 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Well, he has to be outside of the free blocking zone in order to make this legal. So he's not outside the free blocking zone, and so it's illegal. And again, I apologize. I don't have the new rule book. It would be a lot easier to read this thing if I did. But I'm doing this in June. The rule books just haven't been published or haven't been released yet. All right, moving on. Question number 5. K, 3rd and 7 at the R30. So they're 30 yards away from the end zone. K22's field goal attempt is blocked behind the line of scrimmage and recovered by K16 at the R35. K16 advances into R's end zone. So was the ball dead when K recovered it? Was the ball dead when K recovered it and it's still K's ball? Because it was third down, remember? Or was this a touchdown? So I missed on the first answer. It's asking if it's R's ball after K recovered it. So the rule references 623, and 623 says any K player may catch or recover a scrimmage kick while it is in or behind the neutral zone and advance unless it's during a try. So a field goal is a scrimmage kick, and therefore if the ball is behind the line of scrimmage when K picks it up, then he can advance. He could even throw or kick it. So in this case, K picked it up and ran into the end zone. That's a touchdown. So the answer is C, K touchdown. Question 67. This sounds a lot like a previous question, but it's not. K 4th and 5 of the K10. K's punt is caught at the K38 and run back to the K20. K committed an illegal shift. And during the kick, R held at the K30. So we have all these rules references from Rule 10, and 10.2.1 is the definition of a double foul, which we have here. We have both teams committing fouls during the play. But we learned from our previous question that R can retain the ball if they decline Team K's foul. So we have two. So we have two answers that say that. Now, the question is, where does the ball end up? And this is what's called a post-scrimmage kick foul. If a post-scrimmage kick foul and remember we've gone over this before, it has to happen during a scrimmage kick play other than a try or successful field goal, during a scrimmage kick play in which the ball crosses the expanded neutral zone. So far so good. Beyond the foul occurs beyond the expanded neutral zone. The foul occurs before the end of the kick, which it did, and K will not be the next to put the ball in play. Okay, so this is a post-scrimmage kick foul, and it has special enforcement. The basic spot for a post-scrimmage kick foul is where the kick ends. Okay, so the kick ends when a player gains possession or when a ball becomes dead while not in player possession. So where did R gain possession? R gained possession at the K38. So we are the penalty enforcement spot is the K38. It's a 10-yard penalty for holding. So the answer is B. R may retain possession by declining enforcement of K's foul. R 1st and 10 at the K48. All right, question number 6. A 2nd and goal at the B5. A3 sweeps around the right end. At the B2, A3 dives and crosses the goal line airborne. He continues to hold the ball as the ball crosses the goal line extended, and he lands out of bounds. Is this a touchdown, or is it A's ball, 3rd and goal, where the ball broke the sideline plane prior to crossing the goal line extended? So goal line extended applies, you can see a picture of it right here. So if the runner is in bounds and crosses the goal line in bounds, the ball can be out of bounds and the goal line is extended to infinity, but basically only the length of his arm, right? So it refers to 226-3, which is the definition of the goal line. Goal line is a vertical plane which separates the field of play from the end zone when related to a live ball in a runner's possession, touching in bounds. There's important. While the ball is over the out-of-bounds area, the goal line includes the extension beyond the sidelines. So, it's basically what I just said. So here, in this case, we have the runner leaving the field of play, leaping, and landing out of bounds. So he's not in bounds physically, like this guy here, when the ball crosses the goal line extended. So the other rule reference is 423 or 433 rather, and we go right here. 433. When a runner goes out of bounds, the nearest hash mark is fixed by the yard line through the foremost point of the ball at the time the runner crosses the plane of the sideline. Okay? So as an official, you have to decide where that ball crossed the sideline while he was airborne. Okay? So it's not a touchdown. It is, answer is B, a third and goal where the ball broke the sideline plane prior to crossing the goal line extended. All right, question 66. K, 4th and 5 at the K10. K's punt is caught at the K30 and run back to the K20. K committed an illegal shift, and during the run back are held at the K30. So what do we have here? Now this is going to take some explaining, so stay with me here. Okay, kicking fouls during kicks are probably the most challenging enforcement because there's a lot of different possibilities, and I'm not gonna tell you about them. But post-scrimmage kick, double fouls, fouls by it goes on and on. But if we look at the rule reference 10.2.1b and 10.2.1c. 10 is the enforcement of penalties rule, and it's very important. You got to read this over and over and over again. But 10.2.2 deals with double and multiple fouls, and it says it's the double foul if both teams commit fouls other than non-player or unsportsmanlike during the same live ball period in which. And then there's several situations. C applies to here. There is a change of possession. We have that, right? The kick is a change of possession. And the team in final possession accepts the penalty for its opponent's foul at any time during the down. The penalties cancel and the down is replayed. So, if R accepts K's foul for an illegal shift, we're going to do the play over from the previous spot. Okay? But of course there's a but. 10.2.2 says if each team fouls during a down in which there's a change of team possession, right? Let me have that. And the play does not have a post-scrimmage kick foul, the team last gaining possession may retain the ball provided. And so this is not a post-scrimmage kick foul. Are fouled after the ball was caught, so post-scrimmage kick ended at the time the kick ended. B says the team last gaining possession declines the penalty for its opponent's foul. Okay, so if R declines K's foul, then they can keep the ball, but they still have a foul. And now we have to determine where we enforce the holding penalty on R. So we know that the ball was. This is a running play at this point. It was a loose ball play when the kick was in the air from the time the kick entered the air until it was caught. Then it became a running play. So where do we enforce running plays from? Say it with me. The end of the run. Okay. But there is the all but one principle, which says if R fouls behind the basic spot, which is the end of the run, then the foul is enforced from the spot of the foul. So the end of the run is K20, but the hold happened at the K30. So we're enforce the holding penalty from the K30. So the answer is C. R may retain possession, by declining enforcement of case foul, R 1st and 10 at the K40. Okay, question number 7. A 3rd and 9 at the A8. At the A6, quarterback A3 pitches the ball backwards to A18 at the A2. At the A4, B89, defensive player, bats the pass into the end zone, where A18 recovers it. So, do we have a touchdown, a safety? Do we have a penalty? A foul? And if so, where is it enforced? Where does the ball end up? So the foul would be illegal batting. And 972 covers that. And it's down here at the bottom. It says, no player shall bat a loose ball other than a pass or fumble in flight, or a low scrimmage kick in flight, which he's attempting to block in or behind the expanded neutral zone. There's one exception to that. When on a scrimmage kick, a K player can bat the ball towards his own end zone. A grounded scrimmage kick. He can't do it in the air, but once it's grounded, he can bat it backwards towards his own end zone. Okay? That's not the case here, but this ball is in flight, so therefore this is not an illegal bat. Okay, so we don't have any foul here. So these three are right out. So it's either a touchdown or it's a safety. Now, the question is, who's responsible for putting that ball into the end zone? And you would think it would be B89, because he batted the pass into the end zone. Well, this introduces the concept of force. And force, it could be a bat, a kick, a fumble. Anyway, here we go. Carry, snap, pass, fumble, or kick. Those are all forces. So responsibility for forcing the ball from the field of play across a goal line is attributed to the player who carries, snaps, passes, fumbles, or kicks the ball, unless a new force is applied to a grounded backward pass, kick, or fumble. The muffing or batting of a pass, kick, or fumble in flight is not considered a new force. So, even though B89 is the one that put the ball into the end zone, it's not considered a new force. The force was the backward pass. And therefore, when A18 recovered it in the end zone, it's a safety. Answer is B. Question 65. Guess what? I just answered this question in the previous question. A chop block is a combination block by two or more teammates against an opponent other than the runner, with or without delay, where one of the blocks is low, below the waist, and one of the blocks is high, above the waist. Yes, indeedy. We already talked about it. It's true. Question number 10. A 2nd and 11 at the B35. A83 and B19 are side by side at the B30 when B19 grabs A83. A83 is able to pull away from B19 and runs to the B35 when quarterback A9 throws a legal forward pass to A83. The pass is incomplete. So the rules reference is 923 C and D, and 923 says a defensive player shall not. And there's 4 things that he can't do. C says use his hands or arms to hook, lock, clamp, grasp, encircle, or hold in an effort to restrain an opponent other than the runner. And 923D says contact an eligible receiver who is no longer a potential blocker. So it's definitely not DPI because the ball hasn't been thrown, right, when the foul occurs. Illegal use of hands, it doesn't fall into the definition. Contact is a pretty nebulous term, right? But what they're really talking about is some sort of push, contact with the shoulder, not a hold. Okay? And this line right here, this is really important. Who is no longer a potential blocker. Because remember, receivers can block downfield. And it happens a lot. So it has to be obvious that the receiver is no longer a blocker. And that would be when the receiver is either past the defender or wide of the defender. Sometimes what we see is linebackers will, as a receiver goes by, will shove them. And that's not legal. That is a violation of this illegal use of hands. That's what this is illegal use of hands. But in our case, it's a grasp, so it's going to be B, holding. And it'll be a 10-yard penalty. It was 2nd and 11, so we're going to go 2nd and 1 from the B25. Answer's B. All right. Quarterback A6 takes a direct snap, this is question 64, and pitches the ball backward to A12. A56 then blocks B73 at the waist. At the same time, A64 blocks B73 at the knees. Is this a chop block? Is it an illegal block below the waist? Is it both those? Or is it a legal play? So 238 is the definition of a chop block, and a chop block the definition got changed. So let's take a look at the new definition. Chop block is a combination block by two or more teammates against an opponent other than the runner with or without delay, where one of the blocks is low, below the waist, and one of the blocks is high, above the waist. Okay, so this one is at the waist and at the knees. So we've got two low blocks. I like the fact that they've changed the rule. It used to be required for the low block to be below the knee, and now it's just below the waist. Much better definition, I believe. But this is not a chop block. Now, this guy. Let's take a look at the timing of this. Quarterback A6 has already pitched the ball backward to A12. So do we have a free blocking zone anymore? And I think that's what the definition he's referring to. Yeah, the free blocking zone. Okay. So blocking below the waist is permitted in the free blocking zone when the following conditions are met. We don't know about whether these guys were on the line of scrimmage, but we do know that the block was not immediate. So this is an illegal block below the waist. Answer is B. The work I do for you guys. I did this question 3 times, screwed it up a little bit, thought I could do a better job. Did it just perfect, and found out that the microphone wasn't turned on. So here's attempt number 4. Question 11. A, 3rd and 20 at the B40. B99 rushes quarterback A11 and strikes him in the face just after A11 has released the pass to A81, who catches the ball at the B30. A81 fumbles the ball at the B24, and it is recovered by A84 at the B33. Okay, so let's take a look at our rule. The rule references 944 and also the penalty for 944. And 944 simply says roughing the passer is a foul. 943, the one previous to this, is all of the big no-no fouls. Tripping, spearing, targeting, you name it. There's a butt ton of them. And they're all 15 yards. Spend a lot of time with 943 and reading the case book, but they actually have a separate rule for roughing the passer, but they include 943 as well. In other words, they say any foul committed against a passer that's listed in 943 is also considered roughing the passer. And why is that important? It's because roughing the passer carries an additional penalty of an automatic first down. There's only 4 fouls that you get that include an automatic first down. They all involve the word roughing, so it should be really easy for you to remember. Roughing the passer, roughing the kicker, roughing the holder, and roughing the center. Or the snapper, rather, I should say. So, those are the 4 fouls. And in addition to that, roughing the passer has a special enforcement rule. And so if we go down to the penalty table here, wherever the heck it is, there it is. There we go. Defensive players must make an effort to avoid charging into a passer who has thrown the ball from in or behind his neutral zone. That's a very, very truncated version of what roughing the passer is, because it also includes all those 9-4-3 fouls. But for the sake of argument, this is the penalty for, or this is the penalty table for roughing the passer. And it says, you'll notice it says 15 yards and a first down. Right there. Now, we have additional information. It's 15 yards and a first down from the dead ball spot. When the dead ball spot is beyond the neutral zone and there has been no change of team possession, or otherwise 15 yards and first down from the previous spot. So in other words, if the dead ball spot ends up being behind the previous spot, we're going to take it to the previous spot and go 15 yards. If the ball is incomplete, we're going to mark it off from the previous spot. Now, so back to the question, the B99 strikes the quarterback in the face. Well, what is that? Well, that's targeting, right there. Targeting is an act by any player who takes aim and initiates contact against an opponent above the shoulders with the helmet, forearm, hand, fist, elbow, or shoulder. So he either hit him with his hand or his fist, either one. This is targeting. So that's one of those 9-4-3 fouls. So this is definitely roughing the passer. So 81, like a dumbass, fumbled the ball at the B24, but luckily A84 recovered at the B33. That is the dead ball spot. So we're going to enforce a 15-yard penalty from the B33. We're going to go to the B18. We're going to have an automatic first down. We would have had a first down anyway. But Abe's ball, 1st and 10 at the B18. All right, question 62. Still with horse collars. A, 3rd and 23 at the A18. A36 is carrying the ball at the A25 towards B's goal line. Does this sound familiar? When B93 grabs A36 jersey and violently pulls A36 backward. B93 maintains the hold while A36 continues running, and B93 finally pulls A36 sideways into the ground at the A29. So the prohibition against a horse collar tackle includes backward or sideward. So this time, because he didn't go forward, he went sideward. This is a horse collar tackle. So the play ends up at the A29. We are going to go, let's see, they're in 23. We're going to go 15 from here. It's going to be on the A44, 1st and 10. Answer is C. All right, question number 12. K, 4th and 6 at the K17. During a legal scrimmage kick, R56 runs into the kicker, K18 at the K6. The kick is caught by R32 at the K40 and run back to the R25. K accepts the penalty. So the test maker is trying to get you to decide whether this is a loose ball play or it is a post-scrimmage kick play. And post-scrimmage kick plays are defined in 216-2H. These are all the different types of fouls, guys. I don't know if you knew there were this many, but 216 is fouls and penalties. And so dead ball, double, flagrant, all, just goes on and on. So H is post-scrimmage kick. And a post-scrimmage kick foul is a foul by R. So it has to be the receiving team. When the foul occurs during a scrimmage kick play other than a try or a successful field goal. So it's basically we're talking about punts and unsuccessful field goals. During a scrimmage kick play in which the ball crosses the expanded neutral zone. So if the ball never gets past the expanded neutral zone and there's a foul by R, it's not PSK foul. We refer to post-scrimmage kick fouls as PSK. The foul has to occur beyond the expanded neutral zone. Okay, again, has to occur in that area that's beyond 2 yards to the defensive side of the line of scrimmage. It has to occur before the end of the kick. And when does the kick end? Either when the ball is caught or when the ball becomes dead. Okay? So this is a very specific foul. It has to basically, if you can imagine it in your mind, it basically has to occur after the ball has crossed the line of scrimmage, is still in the air, and has not been caught. Okay. And the last requirement is K will not be the next to be put the ball in play. That means R didn't turn it over on the scrimmage kick. So this foul occurs behind the expanded neutral zone, so it does not fall into the criteria for a PSK foul. So he refers to 10.4.2. The basic spot is the previous spot for a foul which occurs during a loose ball play. And remember, a loose ball play is anything other than a running play. So passing, kicking, fumbling. So this is a loose ball play. So the previous spot is our enforcement spot. Okay? I'm not sure why he references 10.4.3 because it again refers to post-scrimmage kick fouls. So disregard that. That doesn't come into play. So what we've got here is running into the kicker by R. It is K 4th and 6th at the K17. So K accepts the penalty is going to be K 4th and 1 at the K22. A. Okay. This question is kind of the reverse of the last question. A 4th and 15 at the A25. A23 runs to the A33 and is tackled by B45. After A23 gets up, B45 taunts A23. Okay, so the same criteria apply that we just talked about, and that is that the foul occurs after the play is over, and it wouldn't matter if it was during the play. A did not make the line to gain, right? It's 4th and 15 at the A25. They would have had to get to the A40. They didn't. So we are going to give B the ball, but we are going to penalize them 15 yards rather, from the A33. So it'll be B's ball, 1st and 10 at the A48. Question number 13. A 2nd and 7 at the A41. Team A is the home team. I don't know why that's there. That's obvious. The down marker erroneously shows 3rd down during the down. So you see it's 2nd and 7, but the down marker has a 3 on it. A23 runs to the A45 where he's down. The down marker shows 4th down. After the ball has been snapped, A11 is tackled behind the line of scrimmage, and the ball goes over to the visiting team on downs. Prior to the visiting team snapping the ball on its 1st down, the home team head coach points out the down error to the referee. It is too late to correct the down, and the visiting team has possession. And this is covered under Rule 511B, which says, where's my cursor? the referee shall have the authority to correct the number of the next down prior to the ball becoming live after a new series of downs is awarded and prior to the declaration of the end of any period. So, as long as the ball has not become live by B, which is now A, we can correct this mistake. We can all, as long as it's not the end of a period. So the answer here is false. They can be corrected. Guys, this happens a lot, and I'm going to get in my soapbox here. We tend to rely too much on a single person, say the referee or the back judge or the umpire or whoever, for what down it is. Now, of course, the head linesman has that responsibility. He's got to know what down it is, right? He's got to be checking with his box. And for you new guys, you want your box person to be telling you every single time what's on the box. It gets redundant, but it'll save your butt, okay? This has happened several times over the last couple of years, and it usually happens during the quarter change. And what we do, again, I'm talking to the new guys, before the sticks move, before the down marker moves, we write down the down, the distance, and what yard line it was on, and even what hash mark it was on, if you really want to get good at it. And then everyone on that crew is responsible to make sure that everything is correct when we reset those chains and the down marker. For those of you, again, new guys, between first and second quarter and between third and fourth quarter, we switch sides of the field. So we have to switch the chains to the other side of the field. And there's a procedure for that. There's a video out there. Hope you've watched it. But this is not a screw up by the head linesman, by the box guy. This is a crew mistake, and it is a big one. Okay? So don't let it happen. And if there's any doubt as to what down it is, stop the game, get together, go check with the they have guys on the sideline keeping track, the statisticians. Go check with both of them. And if worse comes to worse, and there's an iPad available, this is a varsity game, look at the iPad and determine what down it should be. All right, that is permissible. We can't look at iPads for fouls and so on, catch, no catch, but we can do it for this. So don't let this happen. I hope I made myself clear. All right, let's move on. Question 57. A 4th and 5 at the B15. A23 runs to the B5 where he's tackled by B45. A23 gets up and taunts B45. So do we have A's ball 1st and 10 at the B20? Do we have it B's ball 1st and 10 at the B20? Or is it A's ball's 4th and 10 at the B20? All right, so the rule references 10-1-2, 10-4-5, and 5-1-2. 5-1-2 says when a foul occurs during a dead ball between downs or prior to a free kick or snap, the official shall not permit the ball to become alive. And basically what this is saying is that a foul that occurs during a dead ball period, it can be accepted or declined by the designated representative. And this is a dead ball foul. I mean, after 23 is tackled, the ball is dead. It plays over. They got a first down. Okay. But, and that's what 10-1-2 refers to. After a 4th down, a new series of downs shall be awarded only after considering the fact of any act during the down. They're talking about mostly about fouls, except non-player and unsportsmanlike fouls. So even if this unsportsmanlike act had occurred during the play, it would not affect the the outcome in terms of whether it's fourth down or not, or whether B gets the ball or not. So we're going to enforce from the B5. It'll be first down. Take it back 15 yards. The answer is A, first and 10 at the B20. Question number 38. A, try. So the extra point from the B3. Team A is in a swing gate formation. And for those of you who don't know what that is, we have a center, a snapper, I should call him, a snapper, and then all the other players that aren't backs are lined up to one side or the other. Okay? Of the 7 players on the line of scrimmage, so there's 7, we've got 7 on the line of scrimmage, including the snapper. 4 are numbered 50 through 79. Team A then shifts into a scrimmage kick formation and the ball is snapped. I don't know why they would do that, but this is probably just to test your rules knowledge. Okay, so a scrimmage kick formation is one in which no player is in position to receive a hand-to-hand snap between the snapper's legs. A player is in position with his knee on the ground 7 yards or more behind the line of scrimmage. That would be a field goal scrimmage kick formation. Or a player is 10 yards or more behind the line of scrimmage to receive the long snap. So that's the requirement for a punt. So the punter has to be the kicker, I should say, has to be 10 yards or more behind the line of scrimmage in order to be legal. Okay, so the other rule reference is 725B. Now, 725B discusses player formations and the numbering requirements. And it talks no more than 4A players may be backs. Ball at the snap, at least 5A players are on the line of scrimmage must be numbered 50 through 79. You remember that we have 4 players numbered 50 through 79. So they're not legal yet. There is an exception, and since it's a try, this is the rule that applies. On fourth down or during a kick try, when A sets or shifts into a scrimmage kick formation, any A player numbered 1 to 49 or 80 to 99 may take the position of a player numbered 50 to 79. This is actually going to be changed. This is going to be 0 to 49 because 0 is now a legal number. A player in the game under this exception must assume an initial position on his line of scrimmage between the ends, and he remains an eligible forward pass receiver during that down unless the pass is touched by B. So, if they're in a scrimmage kick formation, they can have 4 players number 50 through 79 and still be legal. The kicker here is if this team had stayed in that swinging gate formation and snapped the ball, we would have an illegal formation. And we get caught by this all the time. We just don't think about it. So they have to come in and form a legal formation. Either if 5 players have to be numbered 50 through 79 on the line of scrimmage. If the guy's under the center, or he's going to take a shotgun type of snap. The only time we can have the 4 players 50 through 79 would be in a scrimmage kick formation. Okay, so I hope that's clear. I know it's a weird play, but this is legal. All right, question number 14. A first and goal at the B5. Eligible receiver A83 is running a pass route in the end zone. After A83 has gone past B90, B90 pushes A83 to the ground. as A83 goes to the ground, A12 throws a legal forward pass from the B14 into the area A83 was running to. Then, at the line of scrimmage, B55 tips the pass and it falls incomplete in the end zone. Okay, so again, sort of a gotcha question. We talked about this before. The defensive players can no longer contact a receiver when he is no longer a potential blocker. And in this case, A83 has gone past B90. B90 then pushes him. Then the ball is thrown. Okay? So the ball would have had to been thrown prior to B90 pushing A83 to the ground for this to be pass interference. And then to complicate matters just a little more, the test taker decided that at the line of scrimmage, B55 tips the pass, and it falls incomplete in the end zone. So that if B tips the pass, then we don't have any DPI restrictions. But that's sort of what do you call that? It's a misdirection. So if we look at 79C, 923D, it says a defensive player shall not contact an eligible receiver who is no longer a potential blocker. Okay. And so that is an illegal use of hands foul. It's 10 yards. And the answer is C. He references 79C, which is when the pass interference rules end, but it really, we should be looking at is forward pass interference if any A or B player who's beyond the neutral zone interferes with an eligible player's opportunity to move toward, catch, or bat the pass. So that's the pass interference rule. And we're going to talk a lot more about this. You can't have pass interference if it's behind the line of scrimmage. The contact has to occur after the ball has gone beyond the neutral zone, I believe, or the line of scrimmage, one of the two. But regardless, this is not pass interference. This is illegal use of hands by B90. All right, question 34. Legal blocking below the waist requires the block to begin immediately after the snap. And we've got two rules references here. I'm not sure why 217.4 is here, because it talks about the disintegration of the free blocking zone, and then blocking the back is no longer legal. But 217.2c says blocking below the waist is permitted in the free blocking zone when the following conditions are met. And all of these have to be met. Okay, and C says the block is immediate initial action following the snap. So that is true. Okay, question number 56. A second and 7 at the A23. Quarterback A2 drops back to the A15 and attempts a screen pass. When the pass is thrown, A57 is blocking at the A27, so he's 4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. The pass is overthrown, and A19, the intended receiver, muffs the ball at the A20. The ball continues in flight beyond the line of scrimmage and falls to the ground at the A29. By rule, okay, so we've had some questions in the past where is it offensive pass interference when a player is blocking downfield? Is it an eligible receiver downfield? So let's talk about pass interference first. Pass interference on a legal forward pass begins for A at the snap. So A can never interfere. Okay. B when the ball leaves the passer's hand. So B is able to make contact before the ball is thrown. Pass interference restrictions end on a legal forward pass for all eligible A players when the pass has been touched by any player. In this case, it's touched by A19. So any eligible A player could commit what would be considered pass interference, and it would be legal. Ends for all ineligible A players when B touches the pass. So that didn't happen. So it's still, pass interference restrictions are still on. However, it is not pass interference for ineligible A players to use hands and arms in a legal block to ward off an opponent. And that's probably what we have going on here. I can't say for sure, but he's blocking. He's blocking a defensive lineman. So more than likely this would apply. It also ends for all B players when the pass has been touched by any player. So B, this is why you see defenses when a ball is tipped, they'll just they'll just push the guy, or they'll make contact that would not otherwise be pass interference because the restrictions are off. And then of course all players when the pass is incomplete. I think it goes without saying. So if we go down to 7.5.12, this is where we talk about ineligible players. And ineligible A players may not advance beyond the expanded neutral zone. And we know the expanded neutral zone is 2 yards behind the defensive line of scrimmage in the field of play. Okay? So they cannot advance more than 2 yards before, if the ball crosses the line of scrimmage, which this one did, and if B touches the pass, then the restriction is terminated. But B didn't touch the pass. So the right answer here is ineligible downfield, A, 2nd and 12 at the A18. But wait, there's more. What you see here is the instructional chairman's version of the printed study guide. And it always includes this focus section for each answer. And notice what it says. It is appropriate for an association to consider A has gained no advantage in this situation and that no foul has occurred. This philosophy results in the correct answer being B. Now remember, the question said by rule. Okay, so by rule, the correct answer is A. But by philosophy, Orange County, San Diego, CFOA, we consider this a situation where no advantage was gained, and therefore we are not going to call a foul on this play, even though the rule says it's a foul. I know that's confusing, but it is the way it is. It's we have several fouls like that. Holding comes to mind. We don't call holding unless it has a material impact on the play. So the correct answer per the test is A, but when you're out on the field, it's B. No foul. Okay, moving on. Question number 16. K, 4th and 10 at the K5. K has 5 players in the backfield at the snap. So we have an illegal formation on K, right? K's punt is caught at the K50 by R83 and run back to the K20. During the run back, R77 illegally holds K62 at the K30. What do we got? Well, normally when each team commits a foul during a play, we have what's called a double foul, and we simply replay the down. Doesn't matter if it's a 5 yard and a 15 yard. They offset and we replay the down. The only exceptions to that are non-player and unsportsmanlike player fouls. Those do not offset. Okay, so if we look at C, it says there is a change of possession and the team in final possession accepts the penalty for its opponent's foul during the down. So that is, if the team in possession, which is R, accepts the penalty, the illegal formation, then we're going to have a double foul, and we're going to replay the down. If they decline the penalty, you got to read this whole mess. Basically, what this says is that R can retain possession of the ball if they decline K's penalty. Once they decline K's penalty, then K can decide what to do about R's foul or fouls if there were multiple. So that's, in a lot of words, that's what that says. Okay. So the only question now is, where do we enforce the penalty? And normally it would be the end of the run, which would be at the K20, right? But this is a foul by R, which is just like a foul by A, behind the basic spot, which is the all but one enforcement. Really haven't talked about that yet. I'm sure we will. But basically it says if A or K commits a foul behind the basic spot, which is either the end of the run or the previous spot, then the enforcement spot is where that foul occurred. So the foul occurred at the 30. So R can retain possession if R declines the penalty for K's foul. Enforcement spot for R's penalty is the K30. And A, if R accepts the penalty for K's foul, it's a double foul, replay the down. Both of those are correct, so the correct answer is E. Okay, question 54. The mercy rule is in effect during the fourth quarter. During the following situations, the game clock will not run, and the game clock will start at the snap or when a kick is legally touched. Rule references 312. 312 simply says by state association adoption, a point differential may be established, whereby if one team has established a point differential, the game shall be terminated. A state association may also establish guidelines for using a running game clock. So that's what we've done in California. And here is the mercy rule. Get over there, you bastard. All right. So this was adopted in 2011, evidently. I couldn't find anything newer than that. And this is the mercy rule. So basically, during the first three quarters, if both teams agree to have a running clock, then the clock will run continuously with the exception of a few things that are down here. We'll go over that in a second. If at the start of the fourth quarter, their point differential is 35 or more, then the running clock is automatic. And once the running clock is in effect, it doesn't matter if the score falls or the differential falls below 35, we still have a running clock. So the game clock shall be stopped for the end of a period, a score, a free kick following a fair catch or awarded fair catch, a charged team timeout, a coach referee conference, or an official's timeout. So over here we've got a free kick following a fair catch, awarded fair catch, a charged team timeout, a coach referee conference, and an official's timeout. So they just left a couple of things out of there, but all of those are true. So the answer is E. Now remember, that clock runs even if the point differential falls below 35. Okay? And if both coaches agree to have a running clock, and that happens, just get it going. Let it run. All right. Move on. Question number 18. A, 4th and 15 at the A10. The score is A27, B26. With 24 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, the clock is running. The back judge raises his hand, and offensive lineman A67 false starts with 20 seconds remaining. After the penalty is enforced, the referee marks the ball ready for play and starts the clock. Time in the fourth quarter runs out before the offense puts the ball in play. Choices are A, the game is over, or B, The referee should have asked the B coach if he wanted the game clock to start on the snap. If the B coach chooses to start the game clock on the snap, it is A's ball, 4th and 20, 20 seconds remaining. The game clock starts on the snap. And the rule reference is 347. This is a rule that was brought in place 3 or 45 years ago, so relatively new. 347 says, when a penalty is accepted with less than 2 minutes remaining in either half, the offended team will have the option to start the clock on the snap. So, it says either half, notice that. So, the end of the first half, end of the second half, under 2 minutes remaining. If there's a foul, the opposing team, the offended team, gets the choice to have the ball start, the clock start on the snap or on the ready. And so the answer, of course, is B. But the thing I want everyone that's listening to remember is this is when you want to be a crew saver. This is when you want to if you're using radios, hey, we're under 2 minutes. Don't forget, we have to talk to the coaches if we have a foul. Just keep everybody sharp. So this was incorrectly ruled, and the answer is B. Okay, question 51. I'm almost afraid to give you guys this one, but here we go. A 3rd and 6 at the B 30. A 23 runs to the B 8. Okay, I got a first down. During the run, Team B's head coach swears at that poor line judge again. The referee determines the appropriate penalty enforcement, and as the referee is giving his signals and U is marking off the enforcement, A 33 taunts B 27. And rule reference is 1025A, and I don't know what this is. I think this might be the NFHS mechanics manual, which we don't use. But regardless, if you look at 1025A, it kind of tells you, but if you look at B, it tells you exactly. If both teams commit unsportsmanlike non-player or dead ball personal fouls prior to the completion of penalty administration for those fouls, the distance penalty for an equal number of 15-yard unsportsmanlike non-player and dead ball personal fouls will offset. Any remaining penalties will be enforced separately and in order of occurrence. So, because we hadn't finished the penalty administration, U is marking it off, but he hasn't finished, these penalties are going to offset. Had A33 taunted after the umpire had placed the ball, then we would penalize those separately. And it's a fine line, right? So you got to be aware of this stuff. So in this case, the foul's offset. A 1st and goal at the B8. Answer is B. Okay, question 53. This was a little tricky, and believe it or not, this has happened a few times, and we've gotten it wrong. We've missed it. So pay attention. K, it's a try. Holder K26 in a legal scrimmage kick formation, so he's at least 7 yards behind the snapper, receives the snap with his knee on the ground. He immediately throws the ball backward and underhand to kicker K2, who throws a forward pass to A87 in the end zone, who catches it there. Is that 2 points, or is the try unsuccessful? And so the rule reference is 4.2-2A exception. So the ball becomes dead and the down is ended when a runner goes out of bounds, is held so his forward progress up, or allows any part of his person other than hand or foot to touch the ground. So effectively, the holder is a runner when he receives the snap. But there are exceptions. The ball remains alive if at the snap a place kick holder with his knees on the ground and with a teammate in kicking position catches, recovers the snap while his knee is on the ground and places the ball for a kick, or if he rises to advance, hand, kick, or pass, or the ball remains live if at the snap a place kick holder with his knee on the ground and with a teammate in kicking position rises and catches or recovers an errant snap and immediately returns to his knee to the ground and places the ball for a kick, or again rises to advance, hand, kick, or pass. So what they're saying is if there's an errant snap and he stays on his knees, he can recover the ball, put the ball down for a kick, and that's legal. Okay. He can also rise, and then he becomes, a runner or a passer. If he gets up off of his knees to recover the ball, he can go immediately back down to a knee, and the ball can be kicked legally. Or he can rise, and same thing. He can run, hand, kick, or pass. In this case, he couldn't kick. Maybe he could. I guess he could drop kick it. Okay. But he is not allowed to do what is described in this scenario. He cannot be on his knee. Because remember, normally if he has the ball in his possession and his knee is on the ground, he's down, right? But we give this exception to holders. But he has to rise up, and then he can pass the ball backwards to the kicker, and the kicker can pass it. That's fine. But he can't be on his knee when he does it. And we, as I say, I think in college this is legal. So we have officials get confused on this. So you just remember, he cannot pass or backward pass the ball from his knees. Okay? All right, moving on. So the answer is B. The try is unsuccessful. Okay, question number 19. During the pregame conference, the home team head coach verified all his players were legally equipped. During a play in the first quarter, an official sees a home team player, 83, is not wearing any knee pads. So is this an unsportsmanlike conduct on the team coach? Is it an unsportsmanlike contact foul on the player? Is it no foul and the player just must leave the game for at least one down? Or is it both A and B? So this is a rule that has really been misunderstood for a long time, and we've changed the rule several times. So let me make it clear. And it's actually very clear here in 155. When any required player equipment is missing or worn improperly, an official's timeout shall be declared. Okay. That's really all you need to know for the purposes of this question. 151D2 says knee pads, which are on all players must wear. This is pads and player equipment. Following pads, protective equipment are required of all players. Knee pads, which are unaltered from the manufacturer's original design, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is missing equipment, but it's not illegal equipment. That's where we get confused. If we have illegal equipment worn, let's say we have the classic example is spikes on the shoes that are too long. That is illegal equipment. And that is an unsportsmanlike conduct foul on the coach. But that's the only time I think that we are going to issue an unsportsmanlike conduct foul on the coach. We're simply going to send this player off unless the equipment can be readily fixed. For instance, if the knees are exposed and it's a result of play, or maybe it's not the result of play, but you tell the player, hey, pull your pants down. Okay, you can maybe give him one or two of those, and then he's off. Then you're just going to say, hey, you're off for one play. There's several that you do this with: shoulder pads exposed, back pads exposed, mouthpiece out. Send them off for a play. Don't do that. But not an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. So the answer to 19 is C. Okay, question 21. During the pregame conference, the home team head coach verified all his players were legally equipped. During a play in the first quarter, an official sees home team player number 83 is wearing non-removable metal cleats that extend 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so we've had a lot of questions about illegal equipment, right? And if you go to 153, I think it's 153, yeah, illegal equipment right here. There is a ton of stuff. I mean, everything from jerseys, slippery, sticky substance, blah, 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 towels. I mean, it's crazy how much stuff is on here. We want to get it in the pregame, right? This is one of the reasons we inspect the teams, is we want to get rid of all this crap before the game so we don't have to deal with this. But the bottom line is, we don't want to hit the coach with an unsportsmanlike conduct foul for towels. All right? We just want to tell the kid to get off the field, get rid of the towel. If there's multiple towels, then just, send them all off. But don't tag them with an unsportsmanlike conduct foul unless it's dangerous. And in this case, or it's gross. It's gross ignorance or just ignoring the rules. For instance, a cutaway jersey that's all the way up below the numbers. I mean, that's ridiculous. These guys know that jerseys have to come down to the pant level. Sticky substances, I think that's cheating. I would probably hit him with an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. But adornments, wristbands that are worn high, all that stuff, no. We're not going to do it. So dangerous things like an unprotected cast, which again is something that we should catch in the pregame, or a knee brace that's got metal exposed, that's dangerous. These cleats are dangerous. We want to, in that case, we would hit the coach with an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. And he can't really complain. He verified that all his players were legally equipped. He ought to know the rules. But, we just use common sense. If it's a gross violation of the spirit of the rules, then go ahead and hit him with the unsportsmanlike conduct, but not just, like I say, sweatbands, towels, etc. Just send them off the field. So in this case, these cleats are dangerous. So I'm going to hit him with unsportsmanlike conduct foul, and it's going to cost him 15 yards. Okay, question 50 is sort of the reverse of the last question. A 4th and 1 at the A34. Quarterback sneaks into the A36, so he's passed the line to gain. During the run, the Team A head coach swears at that poor line judge, and using the same rules references, the 10.45 and 10.45B. And so basically, again, we've got line to gain is made, so we have a first down, and then we're going to enforce the unsportsmanlike conduct on Team A. We're going to move them back to the 21, right? So it's going to be prior to penalty enforcement, the ball is dead beyond the line to gain, A, 1st and 10 at the A21. Answer B. Okay, strap in for this one, guys. This was a question that I got wrong, and I still think I got it right, but I know I got it wrong. K36's free kick is muffed by R11 at the R15 and rolls to the R10, where R11 panics and kicks the ball through his end zone and beyond the end line. If K accepts the penalty, the enforcement spot is. So, if we look at the rules for safeties, it's a safety when, and we go to B. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Basically, a player who's in the field of play forces a loose ball from the field of play by his kick, pass, fumble, snap, or by a new force to a grounded loose ball with his muff or bat or illegal kick when the penalty is declined. That's the kicker here. So they accept the penalty, so it's not a safety. But it's also not a safety for another reason. And this is the part that I just don't get. Clearly, this kick falls under the category of a new force. And R was responsible for putting the ball into the end zone. But if you read the force rule, Article 4, force is not a factor on kicks going into R's end zone, since those kicks are always a touchback, regardless of who supplied the force. What? I don't know why. I don't know what the thinking is behind this, but it is the rule. So that's the reason that K accepted the penalty, because otherwise R would have had the ball on the 20. And this gives them a chance to maybe do a squib kick or whatever, do something else. So the answer is it's the previous spot, right? It's a 15-yard, I think it's 15. Whatever. It's a penalty for illegal kicking. and it's going to be enforced from the previous spot. But I got to find out why force isn't a factor when it goes into the end zone. All right, moving on. Okay, question 42. Hurdling is an attempt by a player to jump with one or both feet or knees foremost over an opponent who is contacting the ground with no part of his body except one or both feet. Contact is required to constitute hurdling. So if we look at the definitions, this is Rule 2, guys. You new guys, read Rule 2 over and over. It's the one everybody ignores, and it's probably the most important rule in the book. Hurdling is an attempt by a player to jump, hurdle with one or both feet or knees foremost over an opponent who is contacting the ground with no part of his body except one or both feet. That's exactly what he said in that first part, right? And what they're talking about is think of a hurdle, a race, a track race, hurdling. That one leg out, one leg back. It could be a knee forward instead of the foot. Something has to be foremost in front of the body. If a player were somehow to jump with both, jump straight up over an opponent, I don't know how they'd do that, but that wouldn't be hurdling. And if they were to dive, and this can happen at the goal line, right? If they were to dive, that is not hurdling. Okay, so in order for the a hurdling foul to be called, the defender has to have one or both feet on the ground. So if he is touching the ground with his hand and he hurdles him, that's fine. If he is diving and has no feet on the ground and he hurdles him, that's fine. Okay, so you I think you get the gist. One or both feet have to be on the ground. The reason that we are emphasizing this call is because it's not being called a lot in by a lot of associations, by a lot of crews, because it's a very spectacular play, and people don't want it to be a foul, but it's been proven that it's dangerous. If you watch the video, the preseason video number 1, you'll see a great hurdle. The guy jumps over a guy that's standing straight up. And, beautiful athletic move. I was the only one on my crew that threw a flag. And I know that's because the other associations and even crews in our association will not throw that flag, will not penalize that player. And we have to be consistent. So don't be afraid to throw it. The last part of this question, contact is required, is not true. So after all that, the answer to the question is false because of this last sentence. I'm not sure why he did that, but it's a gotcha. And just don't get fooled. So it is false. Let's move on. All right. Question 49. A 4th and 1 from the A34. The quarterback sneaks for no gain to the A34. During the run, the Team B head coach swears at the line judge. Well, that line judge must really be bad. The rule references 10.45 and casebook 10.45B. We didn't talk about 10.45, and we should have. The last 2 questions both involve this rule as well. The basic spot is the succeeding spot for an unsportsmanlike foul. So a succeeding spot is where the ball would next be snapped or free kicked if a foul had not occurred. Okay. Now, we're not going to touch the second part because it's when a touchdown, it's what happens when a touchdown occurs, and we haven't had that yet. So the succeeding spot is where the ball would next be snapped or free kicked if a foul had not occurred. So in this case, the succeeding spot is the A34, and it was 4th and 1. So we're going to enforce the penalty against Team B, but A did not make the line to gain, so it's going to be B's ball. And, B says it all. Prior to penalty enforcement, the ball is dead behind the line to gain. B 1st and 10 from the A49. Okay, so we're moving him back. A49. Right. So if you 10.45 B, it does cover this in a way, but I think C is actually a better case. With 4th and 40 from the A's 10-yard line, A1 runs to A's 44 where he is down. During the down, substitute B1 enters the field but does not participate. B1's foul is a non-player foul penalized from the succeeding spot. It is B's ball 1st and 10 from the A49. So they penalized B for the it's basically an illegal substitution foul, but it's a non-player foul. And don't worry about it, non-player. So anyway, so in this case, they're going to get the ball after the enforcement of the penalty. B is. Oh, I hope that's clear as mud. Okay, so the answer is B. Question 22. Kickoff. The kicked ball is rolling on the ground and going to die in bounds. An R player who inadvertently stepped out of bounds and remained there reaches in and possesses the ball. What do we have? So before we talk about what this is, let's talk about what it isn't. This is not illegal participation. Okay, if he had done it on purpose, which is part of the rule that the player purposely goes out of bounds, then it's a different story. But this is an inadvertent stepping on the line. I've had this happen in a game where the player was waiting for the ball to get to him, and he was straddling the sideline. And as soon as he caught the ball, we killed the clock. Killed it, and But it is considered a ball out of bounds. right? Because a ball is out of bounds when it goes beyond the sideline, when it touches someone or something that's outside the sideline, so it's out of bounds. So when a free kick goes out of bounds, that's the 619. Okay. And then there's just when it goes out of bounds, they can accept a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and have them re-kick, accept a 5-yard penalty from the succeeding spot, put the ball in play at the inbound spot, 25 yards from the previous spot. We all know that used to be these A and C used to be the only two choices, I think. Anyway, or decline the penalty and put the ball in play at the inbound spot. Why you would do that, I have no idea. So this B was the big change. So if the ball went out of bounds and tacking on 5 yards would put it closer to the goal line than the 35, the coach would do that. So this list is exactly what we have over here. So the answer is E, all of the above. Question 24. A 2nd and 8 at the A30. At the A20, quarterback A6 throws a screen pass to A12. At the A28, which is behind the line of scrimmage, A12 muffs the ball, and the ball travels to the A35, where A65, who is an ineligible receiver, catches it and is downed immediately. The rule references are 7.5.12 and 7.5.13. 7.5.12 is the restriction against ineligible A players going beyond the expanded neutral zone, as we know is the 2 yards into the defensive backfield from the line of scrimmage. So it has to be on a legal forward pass before a legal forward pass that crosses the neutral zone is in flight. So what that says is once the ball has left the quarterback's hand, the ineligible receiver cannot be more than 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. If B touches the pass in or behind the neutral zone, the restriction is terminated. Okay, so we have a ball that travels beyond the neutral zone, and A65 is clearly ineligible downfield. He is 5 yards downfield. So he's violated 7.5.12. 7.5.13 says an ineligible player has illegally touched a forward pass if he bats, muffs, or catches a legal forward pass unless the pass has been first touched by B. Again, this was touched by A. So we have two fouls here. We have the ineligible receiver, offensive player downfield, and illegal touching. One comment on this: if we have a missed or an overthrown for screen pass where the receiver is behind the line of scrimmage, and the ball ends up landing beyond the line of scrimmage, and we have ineligible receivers downfield, we do not want to throw a flag on that. Okay, that didn't have any effect on the play. Okay, so but if that's not true, if he's downfield and the ball goes beyond the line of scrimmage, thrown to a receiver that's beyond the line of scrimmage, then we're gonna call it. All right, moving on. Okay, guys, I did not know this next question was coming up. This is just what we talked about. A 4th and 1 at the A40 during the run by A23 to the A44. B75 commits an incidental face mask at the A42. During the run, the team A head coach swears as the line judge. So it's exactly what we just talked about. We're going to administer both penalties. So in this case, we're going to go to the end of the run is A44. We're going to go to the A49 and then back 15 to the A34. And it's going to be A's ball. So it's going to be A 1st and 10, A34. All right, question 28. During an attempted pass play, quarterback A2 is tackled behind the line of scrimmage. During the play, eligible receiver A86 is held beyond the line of scrimmage by B85. The enforcement spot is. So, what do we have here? Whenever we're talking about enforcement spots, we want to determine what type of play it is. And the two basic types are a running play, a loose ball play, or a running play, yeah. So, they're both defined in 10.3. So, 10.3.1 says a loose ball play is action during a free kick, a scrimmage kick, a legal forward pass, a backward pass, illegal kick or fumble, so on. In other words, the ball's moving, ball's in the air, ball's released, The Article 4 says the basic spot is where the related run ends for a foul which occurs during a running play. And a running play is any action not included in Article 1. So, basically a running play is when the guy's running with the ball. And the test maker is trying to fool you just a little bit because he says during an attempted pass play. So you're thinking, maybe you're thinking loose ball play. But no, it's an attempted pass play. He didn't get the ball off. He got tackled behind the line of scrimmage. So it's a running play. So the enforcement spot is going to be the end of the run, which is the dead ball spot. Question 47. A 4th and 9 at the A30. During a run by A23 to the A37, B75 commits an incidental face mask at the A35. After the play ends, the Team A head coach swears at the line judge. And the rule references 10-4-5 and case 10.4.5b. Now, I would have liked it if he had included 216.2 because it talks about the types of fouls. And so typically when we have a foul by each team, it's a double foul and we replay the down, right? But in this case, the first foul occurs during the play. The play is over. It says after the play ends, the Team A head coach swears at the line judge. And by the way, it wouldn't have mattered if it had been if a double foul is defined right here. One or more live ball fouls other than non-player or unsportsmanlike are committed by each team at such a time that the penalty is offset. So even if the unsportsmanlike conduct had occurred during the play, we still would not have a double foul. Okay? Fouls offset. B 1st and 10 at the A37. So in other words, he's inferring that you lose the down, and that's not correct. Both penalties are administered. A 1st and 10 from the A27, A's ball, or both penalties are administered B 1st and 10 from the A22. So the result of the play was, a 7-yard gain, which doesn't give A a first down. However, we have a foul during the play, right? So we're going to add 5 yards on for the incidental face mask. That's going to move the ball to the A42, which would give them a first down. Even if it didn't give them a first down, it'd still be 4th down. We replay the down. Now, we have to enforce the unsportsmanlike conduct foul on A. So now we're going to go from the 42 back 15 yards to the A27. So the correct answer is C. Both penalties are administered. A 1st and 10 at the A27. And that would be true even if this, as I said, if the unsportsmanlike conduct foul had occurred during the play. We'd administer it the same way. Okay, both fouls would be administered. And it would still be first down. Okay, moving on. Question 46. The following is illegal equipment. And the rule reference is 153. And we've talked about this already. Illegal equipment, there's a long list. Here it is right here. Illegal equipment. So, all of these. So here we got, here's the restriction against towels that have more than one visible manufacturer's logo. Okay. And they have to be, the towels must be the same solid color. So that's two of the four. Down here, eye shade, again, we've talked about this. This is straight out of the rule. Look, that is illegal equipment. And also an eye shield attached to the helmet that is not clear without the presence of any tint. This one's getting tougher every year because they're starting to put stuff on the clear shields that has a rainbow type of effect. When the light hits it. My suggestion is that in that case, if you can see the player's eyes clearly, and that's the reason we don't want it tinted, I would probably let it go. And remember, they can wear glasses. That is absolutely legal. Even tinted, it's right below here. Tinted eyewear is legal. Okay. So, when in doubt, have them take it off. Just get rid of the shield. You can't have it. But it should be clear. But what the definition of clear is now is getting tougher every day. So I hate to be wishy-washy about that one, but it is happening. I saw it last year. Okay, so the answer is E, all of the above. All right, question 31. A 3rd and 7 from the A33. QB A9 drops back to pass. Guard A67 advances to the A35 without contacting a Team B lineman. A9 passes complete to A89 at the A41. So, we've got a offensive lineman going 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, so he's still within the expanded neutral zone. That's the limit that he can go. I think in some rule books, he has to be contacting a defensive player in order to do that. That's not true in high school. So in high school, 7512 just simply says ineligible A players may not advance beyond the expanded neutral zone. Okay, I can take a look at this. On a legal forward pass play before a legal forward pass that crosses the neutral zone is in flight. Okay, if B touches the pass or in or behind the neutral zone, the restriction is terminated. Okay, so basically it just says he can only go 2 yards. That's it. So this is a legal play. Question 43. K 4th and 8 at the K9, 4th quarter, with 14 seconds remaining. Clock is stopped as R uses its final timeout. K leads 20 to 18. Oh, it's 20 to 16, I'm sorry. K is in a scrimmage kick formation. Punter K22 receives the snap in his end zone. K22 runs around in his end zone, while lineman K holds R57 at the K8. After time expires, K22 steps out of the back of the end zone. All right, so we are trying to determine the enforcement spot, whether we can extend the period for an untimed down, and what constitutes a safety. Now, we know, of course, that it's a safety because he stepped out of the end zone with the ball. That's a done deal. So, B has to accept the penalty. So now the question is, where is the enforcement spot? And 852 says it is a safety when, and then the typical one, the runner carries the ball from the field to play across the own goal line and becomes dead. That's exactly what happened. If we go down to C, we see a player on offense commits any foul for which the penalty is accepted and enforcement is from a spot in his end zone. Now, where is the enforcement spot? What kind of play is this? This is what you always ask yourself when you're trying to figure out enforcement spots. Well, it started out looking like a loose ball play because they were going to kick it, right? And that's one of the loose ball plays. But he never kicked it. He ran. He ran, and then ran out of the back of the end zone. So this is a running play. And where does a running play, where's the running play enforced? Say it with me. The end of the run. Where's the end of the run? The back of the end zone. So the enforcement spot is from a spot in his end zone. Therefore, it's a safety anyway. It doesn't matter whether they accept or decline. It's a safety. And when we have a safety, we do not extend the period for an untimed down. So the answer is A. The game is over. Okay, question number 36. Legal blocking in the back requires the block to begin immediately after the snap. Now, if you go to 217.3, it defines blocking in the back when it's permitted. So it's permitted in the free blocking zone when the following conditions are met: by offensive linemen who are on the line of scrimmage and in the zone at the snap, against defensive players who are in the zone at the snap, and the contact is in the zone. So in other words, the free blocking zone has not disintegrated. The blocking in the back can only be accomplished or be done legally by the offense, and it has to be obviously against the defense, and all the people involved have to be in the zone at the snap. So there is no requirement for it to be immediate. That's the requirement for blocking below the waist. So the answer here is false. Question 44. K, 4th and 6 from the R45. K's legal scrimmage kick is rolling untouched at the R4. K87 is about to recover the kick when R3 kicks the ball to stop K87 from recovering the ball. The ball goes into R's end zone where it is recovered by R3. K accepts the penalty for R's foul. Just a little bit, he's using the word recover for the K player. K can't recover the kick unless it's been touched by R. So he can basically kill the ball. It would be a spot of first touching if he wasn't able to, keep it from, if he wasn't actually able to possess it. But he would not recover the ball. But I just want to make sure that you understand that if K87, gets that ball, it's not going to be K's ball. And R3 has no reason to kick that thing, but he does. Okay. So our rules references are 971, and that is right here down in the bottom here. No player shall intentionally kick the ball other than as a free or scrimmage kick. So that's the rule against illegal kicking, 10-yard penalty. 216.2H is, right here, and it defines a post-scrimmage kick foul, which is actually what this is. It's a foul by R, so R3 kicked the ball, other than an illegal substitution or illegal participation that occurs at the snap. Oh, I'm sorry, forget about that. When the foul occurs during a scrimmage kick, which is what we have, during a scrimmage play in which the ball crosses the expanded neutral zone, yes. The foul occurs beyond the expanded neutral zone, yes. Before the end of the kick. Now, the end of the kick is when the ball becomes dead, either by going out of bounds or by becoming in possession by R. So that's what happened here, is R recovered. R3 recovered it in the end zone. So that's the end of the kick. Okay, and the foul occurred before that. And K will not be the next to put the ball in play. That's true as well. So this is a post-scrimmage kick foul. And post-scrimmage kick fouls do have special enforcement. It's not critical in this particular case. So the basic spot for a post-scrimmage kick foul is where the kick ends, when R commits a post-scrimmage kick foul. R fouls behind the post-scrimmage kick spot are spot fouls. So, where did the kick end? The kick ended in the end zone. So this is a touchback. Okay. So normally we would have it our first and 10 at the R20 had R3 not committed that foul. But R3 committed a foul at the R4, right? So we are going to enforce it as a spot foul, and it'll be R's ball, first and 10 at the R2. Okay, question 32. K, 4th and 14 from the K30. K18 attempts to punt from the K22, but the punt is blocked at the K24. The ball falls to the ground, and K53 kicks the ball while it is rolling on the ground at the K20. So it's still behind the line of scrimmage, right? The ball travels to the 50-yard line, where R33 recovers it and is tackled immediately. If R accepts a penalty, and we've got all kinds of rules references here, so let's go over the rule reference first. 224-8 just defines a punt, and it basically says you drop the ball and kick it before it touches the ground. So 53's kick is not a punt. Now, he could have picked it up and kicked it. That would be perfectly legal. Okay, because it's behind the line of scrimmage, he can throw it, he can run with it, he can kick it again. All right. 621 is where am I? Oh, here it is up here. Okay. K may punt, drop kick, or place kick from in or behind the neutral zone before team possession has changed. It's not necessary to be in a scrimmage kick formation. Remember that. You don't have to be in a scrimmage kick formation to punt. Okay. And it says, of course, K can't punt past the neutral zone. And then R may not punt, drop kick, or place kick. So what they're saying there is, if the receiving team catches the ball and then kicks it back the other way, that's a foul. Okay, that'd be illegal kicking. So we have 971, which we go down here. Sorry, there's a lot here. There's a lot of. Come on, 971. No player shall intentionally kick the ball other than a free or scrimmage kick. And this kicking, excuse me, doesn't fall into that category. So this is the illegal kick. The rule against illegal kicking. I'm getting punchy, guys. I'm getting punchy. And then 10-4-2 exception. This is where oops, 10-4-2, dumbass. Okay, wait a minute. Maybe this had better be my last question for the day. Okay, so 10-4-2 says the basic spot is the previous spot for a foul which occurs during a loose ball play, which is what we have, right? So our enforcement spot is either, and then we have an exception. The basic spot may, at the option of the offended team, be the succeeding spot for fouls by we can't see it. Fouls by K during a free or scrimmage kick down, other than kick catching interference, prior to the end of the kick, when K will not be the next to put the ball in play. We've talked about this one already. So this is a safety rule, and basically we're trying to limit the number of kicks. So if R wants to take the penalty and tack it on from the enforcement spot, then they can do that. So if they accept the penalty, they have two choices. It's either K's ball, 4th and 34 from the K10, because the enforcement spot is the K20, not the K30. This is an all but one enforcement that says any foul by A or by K that is behind the basic spot is enforced from the spot of the foul. So the spot of the foul was K20, so we got a 10-yard penalty. We're going to take it to the K10. Or they can keep the ball and enforce the 10-yard penalty from the end of the run, which is the K50, and it would be ours ball, 1st and 10 at the K40. So the answer is E, A, or D. Okay, question 39. While running downfield on his pass route, A87 steps out of bounds to avoid a defender. A87 runs 5 yards out of bounds. They're talking about downfield, 5 yards. Returns inbounds and continues downfield. A87 then catches a legal forward pass and is downed after running 10 yards with the ball. So this obviously is illegal participation because none of the answers don't include illegal participation. So what is illegal participation? It is so important for you to understand illegal participation. And it can happen in a number of ways. So the first is if there are more than 11 players in the formation at the snap. Now, that should never happen because we are counting our players and we are going to give them a chance to get off the field, a reasonable amount of time. It's supposed to be 3 seconds. If it's 5, no big deal. But if they look like they're going to come up there and line up with 12 on the field, you're going to kill the play, throw a flag, and we're going to get them with an illegal substitution penalty, which only has a 5-yard penalty. Illegal participation is 15 yards. It's a big one, okay? So if there are more than 11 players in the formation, yeah, it's a 15-yard penalty if the play goes off. It says at the snap. But, that is on us. Don't let it happen. We count defense. We count offense. We should know that there's 12 players on the field. And, if the play goes off and then we find out there's 12 players and we have to hit them with a participation foul, that's on us. That makes us look terrible. I hope you understand that it's a big deal. You don't want this to happen. Okay, one of the other ways that we can have illegal participation is a substitute enters the field during the down and participates. So the situation is usually there's 10 players on the field. The coach is either confused or he doesn't know there's 10 players, or the player doesn't know he's supposed to be on the field and he realizes it at the snap and he tries to get on the field. Okay? If he participates in any way, and I'm basically if he runs onto the field, he's participating. So you're going to hit him with a 15-yard illegal participation. Okay. If a non-player hinders an opponent outside the field of play, I don't really know. I can't give you an example of that. I guess if one of the players that's not on the field somehow tripped or held or whatever a player on the field, we'd have illegal participation. But I've never seen it happen. Prior to a change of possession or when there is no change of possession, a player of A or K who goes out of bounds and then comes back in during the down commits illegal participation. Now, there is an exception to that, and that is that if the player is blocked out of bounds. But if a player is blocked out of bounds by an opponent and returns to the field during the down, he has to return at his first opportunity. In other words, he can't get knocked out of bounds and then run 10 yards down the field and then come back on. As soon as he, and this is your judgment, if you judge that he came back as soon as he could, that's legal. Otherwise, it's illegal, all right? So the only question here is, and oh, by the way, guys, spend some time with this 9.6. These comments are great. There's a table here that shows you the different things that can happen. There's a lot of case plays. So, and here's the real prohibition against participation. Is no player shall intentionally go out of bounds during the down and A, return to the field, B, intentionally touch the ball, influence the play, or otherwise participate. So pretty much, you know, if he goes off the field, he stays off the field, and that's what a smart player would do. He just stopped dead, realizing he's in danger of a 15-yard penalty. But anyway, so where's our enforcement spot? What kind of play is this? Okay, it is a loose ball play, and the foul occurs during the loose ball portion of the play. There is a run afterwards. So we are going to have illegal participation, 15-yard penalty. Enforcement spot is the previous spot. A lot of officials make the mistake of enforcing it from a spot where A87 either went out of bounds or returned inbounds. Don't do that. Okay, let's move on. K, kickoff, K at the K40. K6 kicks the ball from the right hash mark so that it goes high and hits the ground at the R46 and rolls out of bounds on the visitor's sideline. So that's the opposite sideline they kick from. At the R32, untouched by R. R chooses to put the ball in play 25 yards beyond the previous spot. And basically he's asking which hash mark we put it on. And rule 4.2 over here says when the out of bounds spot is between the goal lines, the ball should be put in play at the nearest hash mark to the inbound spot. So the answer is A. Well, that completes our review of the 2022 CFOA classification exam. If you like these rules videos and you'd like to see more of my stuff, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can do so by clicking on my picture in the upper right hand corner and then clicking the subscribe button on my YouTube page, and then also make sure you click on the bell that will send a notification to you when I issue a new video. It's Mark Andrews signing off.